Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video, we are going to be discussing retargeting. We've discussed some of the building blocks for your Amazon ad structure, things like ad types, match types, targets, brand defense. And today, as part of that picture, we're going to be discussing one of the last pieces, which is retargeting. As always, I'll walk you through some of the pieces and hopefully you'll end up with a better idea for how retargeting can fit into your advertising structure. All right, so what is retargeting? Basically, retargeting is the system in which you show your products to people who have more interest than just a plain starting search. So there are certain situations where people will be more receptive to seeing an advertisement from your product. People who are familiar with your brand, people who have purchased your product. All of these fit into us. Basically, this will allow them to see your product again and hopefully increase the chance of a sale. Now, why is this important? Why do we need to do this if they have already been in these places? Quite simply put, sometimes people need to be nudged to complete their purchases. You may have heard that there is a saying which says every person needs to see your product up to 7 times before they'll complete a purchase. In today's impulse-driven society, that might not be as true as it used to, but the truth is it does fit pretty frequently, especially with items that need a little bit more consideration. Our job is typically to fill those 7 spots as cheaply as possible. Amazon does that for us by offering a lot of different page spots and a lot of different marketing options, and one of those is retargeting. So essentially, showing your product to people more frequently can help those that purchase, and reminding them that you are around can help spur additional purchases. Having established that, which pieces of your ads can support retargeting, there are a few different places within Amazon ad types which will support retargeting. So the first one is in sponsored products. You can target your own products. You use ASIN targeting. If you put your own ASIN into a campaign for the same product, Amazon will basically reinforce showing the product to places where it's likely to convert to a sale. So they'll automatically figure out the audience for your product which matches. That self-targeting leads to sales. The next place you'll be able to do this is custom audiences. So for those of you who have brand registry and for those who have enabled Amazon's AMC feature, you will be able to build audiences. You'll be able to build audiences of people who have engaged with your product in brands and different ways, and you'll be able to build ad campaigns around that. I'll actually show you that right now with a different tab. So when you're building out a new campaign, this is a new thing, which is an option. Normally, you just have placements where you could do adjustments for top of search, rest of search, and product pages. Right now, they have added audiences. So audiences by default is turned off. Essentially, you'll tell Amazon you don't want to increase bids for an audience because you won't have an audience selected. But one of your options will be to increase bids for an audience. And you'll be able to do 2 things. The first thing is you'll be able to select from one of 3 default audiences that Amazon created. And these are actually pretty relevant for retargeting. So number 1 are going to be people, or number 3 rather, is going to be people who have purchased a product from your brand. It could be the same product or it could be something different from your brand, but people who have purchased your brand's product, you'll be able to push ads to those shoppers. The second group is going to be people who have clicked or added your brand's product to cart. So if they're looking at your product, if they've looked and left, you'll be able to push an ad to them to remind them that you're around. If they have put the product into your cart, they lump them together with people who have viewed the product, but you'll also be able to drive views towards that group of people separately from all the rest of the ads that got shown. And this is the least focused, but it is people who have a high likelihood to purchase based on recent shopping activity. I'm not sure what Amazon uses to figure this out exactly. I'm sure we could brainstorm. Amazon will almost definitely not tell us exactly because then you can game it. But based on recent shopping activity, they can figure out whether to show an ad to these people. I typically recommend building these 2 audiences out. And what you'll typically want to do from a strategy standpoint is when you're building a campaign to target these, technically the ad can show to all places, just showing extra here. But we want to build an ad campaign just to show to these groups of people. So what I recommend doing is building out your campaign, starting out with low bids and using a strong bid modifier for these audiences. So if you want to run an ad to people who have clicked or added your product to cart, you'll start out with low bids, 25 or 50 cents, so that it doesn't show to too many people who aren't in this audience. And then if you want your bid to be $1 or $1.50, you'll add 100% modifier here to get it to that point. So essentially, you'll be able to push. You can see here, if we add 100% modifier, a 75-cent bid will turn into $1.50 because you have added 100% of that 75 on top. Start out with the lower bid run modifiers, I believe this can go up to 900%. There was a pop-up a second ago. They don't tell us. Let's just see. I believe it's 900%. Will the system accept it? Yes. What can I put in at 950%? I don't believe so. Nope. Our top is 900%. So you can multiply your bid up to 9x and 10x rather, because you're adding 9 more x's on top of your first. If you do that, you'll be able to have a lot of customization based on how low you start your initial bid. So those are the audiences that you can run with. Now, in addition to that, between self-targeting and custom audiences, you can do the same with sponsored brands. You can run ads to your own ASIN with targeting, and you can build out custom audiences in sponsored brand advertisements. You will want to run separate campaigns when targeting these audiences, and in the campaign name, you'll have them identified as a custom audience, ideally with the name of the audience. So when you look at your ad campaign performance, you will know what this campaign was built to target. Once you get past sponsored products and sponsored brands, within the sponsored display section of your advertising, you'll be able to choose audiences for views remarketing and purchases remarketing. These are going to be the same as the audiences that we looked at originally. Views are people who have seen your product but not purchased, and purchases are going to be people who have purchased your product. On top of sponsored display, we have DSP. DSP is going to be your most detailed segments. They will give you a lot more options in terms of what your audiences can look like. You can add regions in there and you can do other things like that. The more you know about your shopper, the more you can use it to target them with DSP ads. That's typically stage 3, not even stage 2. I don't recommend using DSP until all the rest of your advertising is running really effectively. Sponsored display covers 75 to 90% of what DSP does already. So it's not like you're missing a huge thing without DSP. You're missing refinement to sponsored display. Keep that in mind, but it's not really going to fit in too much at the beginning. Once you have plotted out where these campaigns are going to fit into your strategy, the next thing to decide is how much you're going to spend on this. What we typically recommend and what we typically see is that 5 to 10% of your spend is going to match retargeting strategies. Now, we typically see 85 to 90% of spend going to sponsored products. Of course, strategies within sponsored products fill out that 90%. But again, within the total picture, you're going to spend 90% on sponsored products, 10% on sponsored brands and display. And again, strategy-wise, once you get past the ad type mix, you'll want to spend 5 to 10% on actual retargeting strategies. There's always asterisks. So if you have products which can be purchased more than one time, if you want to move people into a funnel of subscribe and save, or if you can offer them comparable products, things like replacement toothbrush heads for your electric toothbrush, you will want to push more than 5 to 10% of your spend to that retargeting. The people who purchase from you the first time will become an important audience to make additional sales off of. They're people who have seen your product. If you have something good, they are going to be your best customers. They will be the easiest ones to turn into additional purchasers. So they will typically be more than that 5 to 10% of spend. And of course, if you start out with small to medium sized budgets and you see 100% utilization and ads are running out some of the time, you can grow and spend more than them, depending on performance. That's always going to be the case. All of this has to do with ad campaigns, but there is an additional marketing type that can be used for retargeting. It is called brand tailored promotions. For those of you who haven't used this yet, I strongly recommend it. I'm working now with a brand that is very large, 8 figures in sales per year, and they are stagnant. When they came to me, we've been looking at a lot of different options. It took me a few minutes because, again, it's not part of the ads, but one of the questions we asked is, are you running brand tailored promotions? They have not run a brand tailored promotion in a year. We discussed implementing it. They have started implementing it, and sales have jumped pretty quick. So it can make a measurable impact in performance. If you've got good products, you're making a significant amount of sales, those brand tailored promotions can help. Again, not besides the sales, if you have a lot of traffic. So if you've got a lot of impressions, it means people are seeing your products. Capitalize on that audience and generate more sales for them. I'll show you what brand tailored promotions looks like. So if you're in Seller Central, if you could right on the top of the screen, you'll see a section for promotions. As you go into the promotions, you'll get to a screen that says brand tailored promotions. You'll be able to create one. And here's what it looks like as you set your goals and move through the system. So some of these are geared towards retargeting, some of them not so much. Part of new customer acquisition, although it is called new customer acquisition, there is views remarketing, people who have seen your product. There's cart remarketing, people who have put their products in the cart. These two segments are really focused on remarketing to people who have interacted with your product. This is not as direct. These are people who have looked at products similar to yours in the last 7 days. It is also an important place where you can nudge shoppers, and I recommend doing that if you have a strong brand in the marketplace. This can be a good place to snag extra sales. But in terms of remarketing, the purpose of this video, these two are going to be segments where you want to create promotion. Of course, customer retention is going to be the main place where you want to utilize retargeting. One-time customers are people who have purchased exactly once in 12 months, but have not purchased recently. So if you're selling a supplement or things which get used within 30 days and they have not purchased within 30 days, but they have in the last year, that's going to be your one-time shoppers. People who have purchased multiple times, but have not purchased in 30 days, these are going to be a different group. I typically recommend pushing these a little bit harder because they've already purchased from you multiple times. And the chance to move somebody from 3 purchases to 4, I imagine is going to be higher than somebody who's a one and done and getting them to buy a second one. So repeat customers can get a little bit stronger of a nudge, and brand followers are the least of these. At some point, they've come into your storefront and have clicked to follow your brand. So there is some interaction, but they're not really proven in any way to be a shopper. Re-engagement is going to be a longer window than customer retention. So these are customers who have purchased products in the last 2 years, did not purchase in the last year. So essentially, it is a longer window than customer retention. Customer retention goes for 30 days. Re-engagement goes for 1 year. Cross-sell is a form of retargeting. I don't love it necessarily as part of this strategy, but you can keep it in mind, give it a little bit of thoughtfulness. You can probably throw some coupons at these shoppers as well. So this should be an important piece of your marketing picture. An important thing is to keep in mind that whatever your tacos is for advertising, the number of people who are taking the coupons you build here are going to be added to your marketing expense. You can see those in different reports. Make sure to add them into your P&Ls. Good software does it, but it's not automatic that everyone is going to see and understand the impact of these costs. So if you're adding a 5, 10, 30% coupon and 5% of your shoppers take that coupon, there is an actual significant financial impact. Keep it in mind as you run your ads and your marketing. Later on, probably not even as part of this course, but as part of the materials you can find in the right-click system, we discuss financials and economics. This will be part of what you need to track. So that's what we've got for remarketing. There will be a lot more to come on a lot more subjects, and we'll see you in the next video.